Heaven's California.
Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, even if you can say that now, to a little bit of Season 8 news that we had just yesterday. And today, we are covering this topic today. And if the microphone does sound a little bit dodgy, I am trying something new today. So we're not actually using the base microphone, we're using something a little bit different when I'm going to be recording with PC and doing post commentaries like this. But what have we got today? Well, we have two big changes for Season 8 that have caused some controversy on the Overwatch forums today, yesterday and today. And if you do want to find out something more in depth and, you know, where I find this information out, go to the description and actually go and follow Unit Last. This is where I get all my Overwatch tips and tricks and latest news and stuff. Because, you know, this isn't my job, so I'm not going to sit here scouting for information and stuff. But when there is a topic that I feel like I can give an opinion from someone who plays at a lower tier, I will do so. And this is something that I have thought of doing today. So the first change, let's just jump straight into it then. The first change, let's just see. Yeah, so here we go. First change, limiting the skill rating for limiting the skill ratings variance for teams. This was posted on the forums yesterday by Scott Mercer, who is principal designer for Overwatch, and it says this: with the debut of the new competitive Season 8 in January, we're looking to be making a few matchmaking changes to increase match quality. The first is limiting the maximum skill rating difference between the highest SR player on the team and the lowest SR player on the team. This will especially help players at both higher and lower limits of SR, where there are typically fewer players available. If a player has an SR of 4,500, there are not that many other players who similarly have high SR. The matchmaker has previously assigned players who are much lower SR to the same team as a 4,500 SR player and hasn't always created the best match experience possible. We implemented the technology for this change in the 1.17.0.3 patch at the end of November, but did not aggressively tune the SR value of the limit. During the month of December, we will be quietly testing the effect of more restrictive SR limits, both for match quality and queue times. With the data and player feedback from testing, we'll then come back from a holiday break on January 2nd and apply a finalised set of values for Season 8. Notice that the matchmaker will still allow you to group with other players according to current SR limits at their skill tier, which is 1000 SR for Bronze through Diamond, 500 SR for Master, and 2500 SR for Grandmaster. We recently restricted the SR grouping limit at Grandmaster with this new Season 8 change in mind. So this is some good news for competitive. But you see, this is the problem, okay? It's the problem with the SR skill rating difference. Because say at the moment, and this is good, I don't want to really move on to this topic, touch on this topic too much. I'm just about to say, because then I'm going to be putting out another video tomorrow touching more upon this. But I'm a console player, okay? And the console and PC, they did say at the start of the game that they were going to be basically two separate games. The console and PC would get separate updates because different characters need different things sorting on different platforms. So that is why they kind of said that, and there has been a change about that. A little bit of speculation, but that will be coming all in tomorrow's video. We're going to be touching on this. Skill rating is, you know, your SR, and at the moment I bounce between gold and platinum for this whole season really. But I don't really notice, you know, a massive difference in skill rating. You know, players from about silver to platinum, the skill rating is a difference, but I've never really had a problem with it so much. You know, the person I group with, there's a difference of about 100 to 150 to where we are, so maybe that is why I get more balanced games when I'm solo queuing. But again, there's not really much I can do about that. I did close that gap, but it's just that I went and lost 6 in a row, which I clearly shouldn't have done, but we did it anyway. But let me just hide this for you guys. So they say that they SR, they want to narrow the gap, and I feel that will help with the skill difference, but that still isn't really addressing the issue that we're having, which is people don't want to work as a team. And if people don't want to work as a team, then it doesn't really matter what skill rating they are, because we're going to lose anyway. You know, the one problem I find a lot is people don't communicate. Nobody, when I'm playing on Xbox, I'm not sure if it's like on PS4 or not sure what it's like on PC, but the time I play on Xbox, you know, there's a lot of kids on, and they're on competitive, and they're probably bouncing around that gold platinum, just having a bit of fun with their mates. And I find that a lot of people don't want to actually, you know, how many people there actually want to, you know, get better at the game? Not many people at all, I presume, because a lot of them just one trick and one trick and one trick and just play whatever the hell they want and don't want to form a team. You know, so this is a good change. This is the good thing about this post from Blizzard, from Scott Mercer, is that Blizzard are addressing, they have seen our cry out for competitive needs some changes, and they are doing something about changing it. But we're going to move on, we're going to pull the page back up, and we're going to go down to the second part of this post, which is removing personal preference, performance, skill rating adjustments for diamond tier players and above, and that is where a lot of people got salty, but don't worry, this is a good sign. Let's have a read. So it starts off, when you win a competitive match of Overwatch, you gain skill rating, and when you lose a match, you also lose skill rating. The amount that you gain or lose is calculated based on many different factors, and here's a quick list of some of the most important ones. If you have a higher SR than 50%, if you have a higher than 50% chance to win a match, you gain less for a win and more for a defeat. Conversely, if you were an underdog in a match, then you gain more SR when you win and lose less SR when defeated. New players experience both higher gains and higher losses than players who have completed a lot of matches. You also gain less SR for a win than you lose for a defeat, as you are more closely approach the system's mathematical upper limit of 5,000 SR. So at very high SRs, you do need a greater than 50% win rate to keep your SR stable. So that is also something that, you know, we already know that, you know, if you're an underdog, you get more SR. If you're more likely, if your team's SR is higher than the other teams and you get a win, you'd get less SR than where you are the underdog. We know that new players get higher both gains and losses to try and determine where they should be in the competitive system, and you know, the higher your SR, the higher it is to get higher. We already knew that, so moving on. There's also another factor in determining the SR change after completing a match, and that's a measurement of how well you personally perform during the match. If you perform well, then you gain more SR when you win, and lose less SR when defeated. The reverse is also true, so if you perform very poorly, you gain less SR for a win, and lose additional SR when defeated. The personal performance adjustments have been controversial amongst the community for quite some time, especially since the calculations for these adjustments are not all transparent. Now this is where some people get confused. Okay, they think, if I play a more technically gifted hero, so a 2 or 3 star hero, I will gain more SR. Not necessarily true. The reason you get more SR is because less people are playing them heroes. So all the Symmetra 1 tricks and the Torb 1 tricks and the Widow 1 tricks will gain SR higher for wins and lose less SR when they're defeated, and will climb the ladder quicker because of the fact there's less of them to judge their performance against. So you might have a very average Torbjorn on your team, but because not many people actually play Torbjorn on the ladder in your rank, he will get boosted SR compared to like a Soldier or a Mercy or a Reinhardt, or you know, the 1 or 2 star tank or players that a lot of people play. It's a lot harder for you to get that boosted SR because there's a lot more people to get that average performance from. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the more higher skill tier player you get, the more SR you'll get, because you can get better SR, but obviously you will need to be performing just above average with any character you use. But moving on, the adjustment does create a lot of positive system-wide effects, including rewarding players who make the effort to play well, punishing inactive players, and more quickly providing fairer matches for new players or those who decide to play a new hero or role. So we spent quite a lot of time examining data over multiple seasons, checking a lot of math, reading a lot of community feedback, and then doing some deep soul searching about this, especially at the higher levels of online competition where every point of SR matters. We want players to not be distracted and worry about how to optimize around personal performance adjustment. They should just be trying to win. So after we get back from the holidays on January the 2nd, we're going to turn off the personal performance SR adjustments for players in the Diamond skill tier or above. We look forward to everyone playing matches and giving us feedback about these changes in Season 8. So this is great news from Blizzard. They've actually identified here that there is some issues with competitive, and they are going to be changing it. And we'd love, of course, we'd love to see the personal performance SR adjustments to be turned off for all ranks. But you know, they have to try with the higher skill tiers first, because all they don't want is people just skill chaining. This is now meaning that in Diamond and above, there's going to be a set amount. Everyone who wins that game is going to get the same amount of SR, which can cause skill chaining. It can cause a lot of chaining where, you know, you might get a lot more people once they hit that diamond that, you know, don't necessarily perform well and get carried and then end up in the wrong tier, which is probably why they're doing it with the higher ranks first. Because what you don't want is a bronze or silver player getting carried to wins that they don't necessarily deserve to be there, not really doing much in the game, you know, just playing very below par, and working their way up into gold, platinum and diamond and master, and when they get to that platinum diamond, they're going to be screwed, because, you know, they won't be, they'll be reported for throwing the game. So it is good that, you know, Blizzard have determined that there is a problem with competitive, but it doesn't quite cover everything that we've discussed before. I'm not going to discuss that again because I've done that in other videos, and if you do want to have a look at any of the other Overwatch videos on this channel, there will be a playlist link in the description and in the top right hand corner of the video, where I have discussed competitive issues that I have with the game, and they do have to test things on higher skill tiers first, because it isn't, you know, they're the elite players in the game, and, you know, these things will start to trickle down. If it starts at the top, things will trickle down. Look at team choices. That's where we get the meta. The meta is basically brought upon us by higher tiers, and it trickles down into the lower ones. So don't be too... People moaning, oh, this is all... What are they saying? It was biased towards the higher tier player. The top tier player is obviously really happy. They have to make sure that it's working for top tier, because they don't want loads of lower tier players going up. And this also does mean that you won't get so many one tricks in that higher, if it does come down to the lower. But even if you're a higher tier player, you won't get as many one tricks, because even if they perform really well and they lose, they're still going to lose the same amount as everyone else. So people are going to be trying to win games, and that I do want to see that in lower tier. What I don't want to see is a load of bronze and silver players being in ranks they don't deserve to be in. There has to be, in a lower tier, some amount of skill. You know, there has to be, if you have someone that's really, really skilled, you don't want them being held back. And, you know, with this personal performance, if they've completely outperformed the game, say they're in a bronze game and they've got 50, 60 eliminations, it's quite clearly that they don't deserve to be in that rank, so they do need to move up. But there has to be some sort of give and take with that. But I have to try and wrap this up, otherwise I'd talk all day. That is going to be it for this one then, guys. If you did enjoy, remember to drop a like down below. Tell me what you think about these changes in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you're new around here for somewhat daily content. Hopefully I'll be back on that very soon. Don't forget to hit that notification button and share the video to all your friends. Go and check out Unit Lost as well if you do want some Overwatch tips, tricks, pro guides, you know, analysing gameplay, analysing pro gameplay. It really does help, and it does help not just only your gameplay, but also your understanding about the game. And also, don't forget to check out all the other videos on the channel and the Overwatch playlist in the description down below and in the top right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye.